Mr. Noorani, welcome. Good to have you with us. In Aditi Roy's piece just there, she said that 50 to 70% of America's farm laborers are here in an unauthorized status. The farms and companies that employed those workers knew that going in. I understand that it would be a hardship for them to lose those workers and a cost, presumably, to find replacements. But they knew that going in, didn't they?
Well, let's look at a state like Idaho. Now, Idaho has an unemployment rate of less than 4%. It is also home to almost more than 500,000 cows who produce an enormous amount of milk and, frankly, put a lot of yogurt on the shelves of grocery stores across the country. For a labor market so tight, to all of a sudden eliminate such a large portion of their workforce means that a lot of cows go unmilked, a lot of milk goes unshipped, and if or when it is shipped, it will cost more. So those dairy farmers in the state of Idaho, they went with their best deal, their best option, which is an undocumented workforce that is highly skilled, highly trained, and is contributing to the Idaho economy, much less the national economy. So ultimately, what we need from Congress and this administration is a solution that serves the interests of the American worker and the business owner, and yes, the cow in Idaho who's producing milk and yogurt for the rest of us.
Well, we want to serve the interests of the cows for sure. I'm being flipped there, Mr. Noorani. So what would the spine of a legislation that you seem to be hinting at? What would it be? Who gets to stay and who gets sent out?
Well, I think it has three specific components. First of all, there are 11 million undocumented individuals here in the U.S.
How many of those are in the workforce, of those 11 million?
5% of our nation's workforce, about 8 million people. 8 million of that 11 million are in the workforce. That's about 5% of the workforce nationally. So what we need to do there first is make sure they're registering for legal status, passing a criminal background check, learning English, and ultimately becoming a contributing taxpayer. Second, we need to have a functioning legal immigration system so that our economy, which the reality is that our economy depends on the skilled engineer as much as it depends on the skilled farm worker, employers have the access to this talent that they need in order to create American jobs. And then finally, as part of this package, we need an enforcement system that ensures that American workers, American business owners are competing for the same job at the same wage. Right now, the only person winning is the unscrupulous employer who is pushing down the wages of the undocumented worker as well as the American worker.
Yeah, it's good. And by the way, Tyler, 60% of those workers are in 6 states. According to Pew, Florida, Texas, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, and California. So those are the states where we're going to see the impact the most. And but I will say this. Let me take the other side just a bit, Ali, because it is a sensitive topic. But if you're a citizen, you commit a crime, there's a good chance you will go to jail. You could go to prison as well, at a great cost to the society and to the taxpayers as well. There's probably many people watching this program who think, well, if you're here illegal and you get caught with a crime, should you go to a U.S. prison? I mean, if you commit a real crime and cost me more money, or should just be shipped back? How do you defend that?
Well, we believe that if you are a threat to public safety or a violent criminal as an undocumented immigrant, you do not belong in the United States of America, full stop. I mean,
So you would agree with that on the criminal side?
The violent criminal side, absolutely. But if you're driving, without a driver's license in order to get to a job to keep a business open, let's make sure that those individuals who get in legal status, are paying taxes, are passing a criminal background check. That's just a better use of our tax dollars.
So again, for you, the demarcation line is where the crime is. If it's just a small thing, like you said, driving without a license, whatever, that's where you would say, no, we don't need it. But for violent criminals, you would agree with that.
It is smart law enforcement to make sure that we're prioritizing our police officers there. Yes.
If those 8 million workers, and it obviously isn't going to happen all at once, but if those 8 million workers disappeared, what happens to the U.S. economy? What happens to wages?
So the American Action Forum has done some incredible research. This is a conservative-leaning think tank here in Washington, D.C., and they've found that the impact on our GDP would be anywhere between 3 and 5% over the course of time. And we're talking about, again, 8 million workers over time being reduced or being eliminated from our workforce, which is anywhere between a 0.5% cut, about approximately a 0.5% cut to our GDP.
All right.
And that's a hit that I don't think we should be taking on.
All right, Mr. Noorani, thank you for your point of view. We appreciate it. Ali Noorani with the National Immigration Forum. He's the executive director.